This is America, and in America we as American citizens do and must honor the right to free speech. Not just the right of those we agree with to speak, but the right of those we do not, otherwise the right to free speech is only hypocritical empty sloganeering. Nazis have the right, just like everyone else in America, to own businesses, or speak their views. This should never be eroded for Nazis or anyone else. But, that freedom of speech is also not an entitlement to a taxpayer-sponsored FCC license that grants its possessors the right to occupy public federal communication airwaves, paid for by America's taxpayer money. There are only so many that can be given because communication air and bandwidth space is limited. FCC licenses are very expensive, and in fact, there are several requirements that must be met in obtaining an FCC license. Many of which, Fox News has been permitted to violate with impunity, primarily because the regulatory agencies and court systems which would enforce these regulations have been stocked with equally corrupt supporters of the Bush fascist coup against America's democratically elected constitutional government, both in the 1930s and in 2000. But the question that we will now ask, aside from the direct historical connections to Hitler's Nazi fascism and America's Nazi movement to overthrow the U.S. government, aside from direct historical connections to the actual personnel of Nixon's shocking confession of fascism on national TV in the U.S., aside from the direct political connection Fox News has with the Eastern European and Italian right-wing conservative Nazi fascism movements, aside from having actual full-blown Nazi fascists on Murdoch's board of directors of News Corporation, aside from actual broadcasting of actual World War II Nazi propaganda in defense of Nazi torture and Nazi rejection of the Geneva Conventions, in defense of Nazi war criminals, how Nazi is Fox News? Really? How literally Nazi is Fox News content? Meaning the actual content of the broadcasts themselves, and the Fox commentators, and the politicians that air their commentary and spin on the news? If you knew absolutely nothing about who the actual Nazi people behind Fox News even were, how much of their Nazi views and ideology would the American public be indoctrinated with? Well, it is actually a whole lot more than most people realize, and especially most conservatives, who are usually not aware of it at all, or have been fully converted to Nazi ideology and actually like the fact it is being broadcast, fully endorsing its anti-American aims of restoring Hitler's Third Reich.
Your dreams, which are genuine, came true, having to do with immigration, having to do with with abortion. I mean, what would this country look like?
It would look like New York City during the Republican National Convention.
You didn't have to go much further than the Republican National Convention. It literally looked like Nazi Germany. It really did.
I'll put you with the head of Iran. I mean, come on, you can't believe that.
The head of Iran is not a Christian.
No,
I don't know if you've been paying attention.
Let's wipe Israel off the earth. I mean, no Jews?
No, we just want Jews to be perfected.
They want to break down the white Christian male power structure, of which you're a part, and so am I.
Your promotion and association with Hal Turner, I don't know anybody Nazi.
You cannot allow a half-breed nigger in the White House. These people would be running around in loincloths fucking camels if we didn't bring them out of Africa, and now they want to give him the most powerful political office on the planet? It's insanity.
And I don't want to go on a lynching party against Michelle Obama unless there's evidence, hard facts that say this is how the woman really feels.
These people have such a patronizing attitude towards black people in this country. They should be ashamed of themselves.
I think I'm going to send Sotomayor and her club a bunch of vacuum cleaners to help them clean up after their meetings.
Commenting on the gorilla that escaped from Riverbank Zoo Friday, it says, quote, "I'm sure it's just one of Michelle's ancestors."
The specter of race, since the Immaculation, have been Obama people. How you feel about all this now? I'll tell you what I'm sensing out there. not just among people on our side. Now, I'm speaking to the conservatives of you in the audience. I'm sensing the effervescence, the pulse of a backlash, of a revolution. The people, the mob, the great unwashed, the people who make the country work, whatever you wish to call them.
Leave it to the Finns and Swedes to come up with something.
Don't look at me, pal.
Because we keep marrying other species and other ethnics and other.
Are you sure you're not suffering from some of the causes
Swedes,
of dementia right now?
See, the problem is the Swedes have pure genes because they marry other Swedes, because that's the rule. Finns marry other Finns, so they have a pure society. In America, we marry everybody.
Explain quickly, this is the NRA, but this isn't the National Rifle Association. This comes from the New Deal era. Explain, the NRA is National Relief Act, if I remember right?
National Recovery Act. It was designed to allow businessmen to set prices that they wanted to charge for their products, and then legally make those prices binding. Right. And if a small businessman wanted to charge less, he might go to jail. Okay. And in fact, we have examples of some who did.
So let's do that, because we have this Blue Eagle. There were more of these in the windows of New York City than there were swastikas in Munich at the time of the war. This was, if you didn't have this, you weren't American.
Yes.
People were told, don't shop at that store. Ford actually said, I don't want anything to do with it.
And so Ford was denied access to any government contract on automobiles.
Ford was the one that gave everybody an automobile. Everybody loved Ford. They've had their hands in all of the food, and that's what's making us sick. Will anyone look at the central banking system?
It's a government that the United States of America does not recognize. But Jim DeMint does, because he's pursuing his own foreign policy, which is to try to undermine the official foreign policy of the United States.
And I gave him peace of my mind. I told him to his face I didn't want his policies to work.
Does Texas or any other state in this great union have the right today to secede from the nation?
Yes. They have the right to nullify and to secede.
That they won't see the error of their ways?
No, sir, they will not. The only chance we have as a country right now is for Osama bin Laden to deploy and detonate a major weapon in the United States.
And of the Republican respondents to this poll, more than 1 in 4 said yes. 26% of Republicans said health care reform is definitely a plot to kill people.